Fever made the final and expected roster move.
Stephanie White told us earlier today that she was going to be making that final cut.
The Fever only got 11 spots. They can only afford 11 players to start this season.
They didn't have the cap space to keep 12 players on the roster.
I don't believe the Fever have the best team. I think they have one of the best rosters.
Just moments ago, the Indiana Fever made a shocking roster move that has the entire WNBA world talking. Another player has been cut.
The roster is down to 11, and rookie Michaela Timson gets that last spot.
Fever are set at 11 for now. It was pretty obvious they were going to keep Timson.
And while the headlines point to performance and contracts, there's a growing chorus blaming one name, Caitlin Clark. That's right.
Lexi Holmes also quoted, Caitlin has a different aura going into this season. It revealed that she was taking creatine. That's why you see that brolic frame from Caitlin Clark.
Her rising stardom, her chemistry with rookies, and her unshakable grip on the team's identity may have just cost someone their job. The front office won't say it directly, but fans and insiders are connecting the dots.
Fever only going into the season with 11 players. They're a versatile team. They can go bigger.
Caitlin Clark is going to have to play heavy minutes. You can tell the difference when she's in the game versus when she's not in the game. They don't play with the same speed.
Was this move really about building a stronger team or about building it around Caitlin Clark?
Today, the Indiana Fever have officially released Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown has simply been waived from the roster. We have waived guard Jaylen Brown. Thank you, Jaylen. And it looked like Jaylen Brown has finally met her fate.
Buckle up, because what we just witnessed goes way deeper than a simple roster trim. Let's dive in. If you are a true Caitlin Clark fan and Indiana Fever supporter, type 100% in the comments.
Caitlin Clark is shooting further than she was. Further. I didn't think that was possible, but she's doing that. And she's also got her teammates. Leah Boston's with her. Kelsey Mitchell's with her. There's some new faces. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, both WNBA champions. Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, another WNBA champion, and also veterans.
The Indiana Fever have officially waived guard Jaylen Brown. And while the move may seem routine to some, the ripple effects are anything but ordinary.
Indiana waived 26-year-old guard Jaylen Brown on Tuesday afternoon. Brown came into the Fever from Dallas.
Jaylen wasn't just another name on the bench. She was brought in as part of a major four-team trade that also delivered Sophie Cunningham to Indiana. And yet, despite her experience, physical tools, and scoring potential, she couldn't secure a spot on the final 11-player roster. Why? Because all signs point to one major shift within the team. The Fever are building everything around Caitlin Clark.
Rookie Michaela Timson has made the Indiana Fever opening day roster. Michaela Timson, 18 pick in the draft, came out balling. She was a steal in the draft. She's definitely looking like she is going to be a big part of the future.
So Michaela Timson makes the final squad. Of course, Timson has those physical attributes that you can't teach and brings a good attitude to the floor clearly as well.
Let's break it down. Brown was released just as rookie Michaela Timson locked in her position on the roster. The timing couldn't be more telling. Timson, a standout 18th overall pick, showed an immediate spark, especially in her connection with Caitlin Clark. That pick-and-roll duo lit up the preseason and made it clear that the Fever's future would center around that chemistry.
Final roster spot. No surprise, Michaela Timson. I don't think she'll play much this year, but going forward, she definitely is a Natasha Howard replacement.
Jaylen Brown, while solid, didn't fit that equation. She wasn't part of the future blueprint. And in a league where every contract and every role matters, that's the difference between staying and going. But here's where it gets controversial. Fans aren't just pointing fingers at roster needs. They're pointing directly at Caitlin Clark. Some believe that her presence is influencing everything, even the front office's decision-making. After all, when you bring in the face of a franchise, someone who's expected to carry the team to new heights, you begin constructing your system to suit her.
Timson signed a 4-year rookie scale contract with the Fever. She will earn $69,000 in 2025, $70,000 in 2026, $77,000 in 2027.
And for Jaylen Brown, that meant being squeezed out of a puzzle she didn't quite fit into. This wasn't just about talent or performance. It was about alignment. Timson aligns with Clark. Her youth, her willingness to play off the pick, and her potential for growth make her the perfect teammate for a superstar like Caitlin. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, was a good player in the wrong system at the wrong time. And in pro sports, that's enough to get you cut.
but we haven't seen much of Dantas. She looks to be in incredible shape. We've seen that she has slimmed down.
Damiris obviously sat out of Atlanta too. Is her thing a day-to-day as well, or what's her status?
Yeah, it's day-to-day as well. I think making sure that we approach their health and wellness as a priority. They're ready physically and mentally as well. So again, I trust the training staff to tell me what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do.
So while the official statement will say this was about numbers, depth, or contract caps, fans know the real story. This was a message. If you can't run with Caitlin, you're not running with this team. Now let's dig even deeper into what this roster move really reveals about the Indiana Fever, and more importantly, what it says about the growing influence of Caitlin Clark. We're not just talking about a team trimming the fat before the regular season. This was a calculated move that exposes the inner dynamics of a franchise undergoing a massive identity shift. And at the center of that shift is one name, Caitlin Clark.
The final roster: Bonner, Boston, Clark, Colson, Cunningham, Dantas, Howard, Hull, Mitchell, Timson, Turner. That's 11.
This is the final roster. I think it's a good team.
From the moment Clark was drafted, the Fever have been on an accelerated path to reinvention. Before her arrival, Indiana was just another rebuilding team. Talented, yes, but far from threatening. Then came Clark, the college phenom with a national following, multi-million-dollar endorsements, and a media machine that made her the face of women's basketball overnight. And with her arrival, everything changed. The Fever went from rebuilding mode to win-now mode, not because they were ready, but because they had no choice. When you have Caitlin Clark, you don't play for next year. You play for headlines, ratings, and wins today. And this urgency is reflected in every recent move the franchise has made. Look at the roster. This team isn't just young and hopeful. It's packed with veterans like Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, and Sophie Cunningham. These are players with playoff experience, championship rings, and decades of basketball IQ. The front office isn't hoping to develop talent over 5 years. They're surrounding Clark with weapons, enforcers, and mentors who can protect her and win with her right now. Jaylen Brown, unfortunately, didn't fit that strategy. Let's be honest. Brown's release wasn't a performance issue. She came from Dallas with promise, she showed grit in preseason games, and she even had a strong relationship with Fever assistant GM Amber Cox. But none of that mattered when it came to building a roster that could complement Caitlin Clark's style of play. Timson did. The rookie not only impressed with her physicality and control, but she instantly clicked with Clark in two-player actions, particularly in the pick and roll, a foundational piece of Clark's offensive arsenal. That chemistry alone gave Timson the edge, and in a league this competitive, those connections can determine a player's future. But it goes further than just on-court fit. Caitlin's influence stretches all the way into team culture. Fever head coach Stephanie White made it clear. She's looking for players who are ready to buy in, who bring energy in the huddles, who contribute off the court as much as they do on it. In other words, players who can match Clark's intensity, discipline, and professionalism. Caitlin's off-season grind was no joke. She hit the weight room, got stronger, improved her balance, and retooled her game under the eyes of the Fever staff. That kind of leadership creates an invisible standard that not every player can live up to, and some just won't survive under it.
Caitlin Clark is shooting further than she was. Further. I didn't think that was possible, but she's doing that. And she's also got her teammates. Leah Boston's with her. Kelsey Mitchell's with her. There's some new faces. DeWanna Bonner, Natasha Howard, both WNBA champions. Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, another WNBA champion, and also veterans.
Now here's where it gets tricky. Some fans are starting to wonder, is Caitlin Clark getting too much power? Is her stardom casting too large a shadow over the rest of the roster? When every move seems to center around her strengths, her connections, and her development, it raises a fair question. Is the team being built for the Fever, or is it being built for Clark? And the release of Jaylen Brown adds fuel to that fire. We've already seen fans venting frustrations online. Some are asking why players like Sydney Colson, who's more of a locker room leader than an on-court threat, are staying while others with more potential are getting axed. Others are pointing to Lynn Dunn's questionable contract decisions that limited the team to just 11 active roster spots. But at the core of all of this is one undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark is changing the Fever from the inside out. And not everyone is going to survive the transformation. In professional sports, that kind of shift is inevitable when a generational talent walks through the door. We saw it with LeBron, with Diana Taurasi, with Sue Bird. Their presence reshaped their teams, and yes, players were cut, coaches were fired, and entire systems were restructured to fit around them. Caitlin Clark is no different. She's not just the face of the Fever, she's becoming the architect of its future. And as we just saw with Jaylen Brown, that future doesn't have room for everyone.
Rookie Michaela Timson has made the Indiana Fever opening day roster. Michaela Timson, 18 pick in the draft, came out balling. She was a steal in the draft. She's definitely looking like she is going to be a big part of the future.
So Michaela Timson makes the final squad. Of course, Timson has those physical attributes that you can't teach and brings a good attitude to the floor clearly as well.
As we round out this story, let's focus on how this latest move is reshaping the team's identity and locker room dynamics. Because the decision to release Jaylen Brown wasn't just about stats or on-court fit, it also reflects the Fever's long-term plan, locker room politics, and how the team is adjusting to life under the weight of national attention brought on by Caitlin Clark's stardom. Let's start with the numbers. The Fever, like every WNBA team, are constrained by a hard salary cap. And because of previous questionable moves by the front office, specifically under GM Lynn Dunn, Indiana only had enough cap space to carry 11 players into the season. That means every spot matters, every dollar counts. And with only a limited roster to work with, management had to prioritize not just the best players, but the best fits, both in play style and personality.
But we haven't seen much of Dantas. She looks to be in incredible shape. We've seen that she has slimmed down.
Damiris obviously sat out of Atlanta too. Is her thing a day-to-day as well, or what's her status?
Yeah, it's day-to-day as well. I think making sure that we approach their health and wellness as a priority. They're ready physically and mentally as well. So again, I trust the training staff to tell me what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do.
Jaylen Brown, while respected, was never a guaranteed lock. She came into the Fever via trade, but was never truly cemented as a key rotational player. In contrast, rookie Michaela Timson came in with buzz and immediately made a statement. She brought size, athleticism, and most importantly, versatility in the front court, which was an area of weakness for Indiana last season. With players like Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, and Brianna Turner holding down the starting and backup spots, Timson's ability to slot in as a future option and play off Caitlin Clark made her a strategic investment. The Fever knew they needed depth in the post, and Timson offered a high upside at a low cost. But again, this isn't just about talent. It's about culture. Head coach Stephanie White made it very clear. This team needs players who can contribute on the court and in the locker room. Players who understand their role, stay ready, and don't bring ego into the equation. When a team is reshaping itself around a megastar, the margin for drama, misalignment, or individualism becomes razor thin. Clark has shown an obsessive dedication to improving her game. From early morning gym sessions, to Olympic-style weight training, to drilling ball handling and balance with the Fever's development staff, she's raised the bar. And the coaching staff is expecting everyone else to follow suit.
The final roster: Bonner, Boston, Clark, Colson, Cunningham, Dantas, Howard, Hull, Mitchell, Timson, Turner. That's 11.
This is the final roster. I think it's a good team.
That's why veterans like DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard were brought in, not just for their rings and skill sets, but to help manage the growing pressure. This roster is now under a microscope. Every pass, every lineup, every substitution gets dissected in national media. The Fever are no longer just a team, they're a storyline. They're ESPN material, and the players have to be able to handle that. Let's be real, that kind of pressure changes the way decisions get made. Just look at the response from fans. After Jaylen Brown's release, social media lit up with criticism and theories. Some were furious that Sydney Colson made the roster despite questionable play, while others speculated that Caitlin's off-court relationships may be influencing front office decisions. That's not to say Clark is personally choosing who stays or who goes, but her presence has undeniably altered the decision-making environment. We've seen this before in sports. When a franchise gains a once-in-a-generation star, the power balance shifts. Coaches change their systems, teammates change their roles, and front offices start thinking 2, 3 seasons ahead, all based on what will best support their star. And let's be honest, Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's the engine of the Fever's future, and her development is the organization's top priority. So when decisions like Jaylen Brown's release are made, it's not just about who played better in practice. It's about who fits the long-term narrative, who makes the most sense next to Caitlin Clark, on the court, in interviews, in the locker room, and in the public eye. Jaylen Brown simply didn't check all the boxes. Mikayla Timson did. And now with the roster locked at 11, the Fever are betting big on this new identity. They've built a team around balance, versatility, and most of all, around Caitlin Clark's ability to lead. Jaylen Brown is gone, and the message is loud and clear. This is Clark's team now. If you can't run her system, connect with her game, or keep up with her pace, you're out. That may sound harsh, but in the world of elite sports, that's how dynasties are built. So there you have it. Jaylen Brown is out, and the Indiana Fever have made it crystal clear where their priorities lie. This wasn't just a cut, it was a statement, a shift, a warning shot to every player in that locker room that the franchise is no longer tolerating anything less than total alignment with Caitlin Clark's vision, energy, and future. Love her or hate her, Clark is the axis this entire team now spins around. And if you're not on board, you're off the ride. Whether you believe Jaylen was unfairly pushed out or simply didn't measure up, one thing is certain. The pressure inside this Fever locker room just got a whole lot hotter. With only 11 roster spots and the brightest spotlight in the league, the margin for error is gone. Every pass, every screen, every locker room conversation could be the difference between staying and getting shipped out. And as this season unfolds, we'll be watching closely to see just how far this Clark-led revolution can go and who survives it. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment and tell me, did the Fever make the right move cutting Jaylen Brown? Was this about performance, fit, or was Caitlin Clark the real reason? Let's hear your thoughts down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss the truth behind the headlines. Until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and always keep your eyes on the game behind the game. I'm out.
Lexi Hulls also quoted, Caitlin has a different aura going into this season. It revealed that she was taking creatine. That's why you see that brolic frame from Caitlin Clark.